dietsandreview.com, and with me today is Arthur Wornum from Biggest Loser Season 11. Arthur's the most recent eliminated contestant, and Arthur, you might be one of the most heartbreaking eliminations in the history of the show.
That's what I'm finding out. America is definitely very upset at the red team.
They are upset for sure. Talk to me about walking into that room that night with your red shirt on, and you had made the comment that you felt like you were getting dressed for your own funeral. Can you kind of recap that moment and that night for us in the gym?
You know, the emotions are I wear it. I wear my emotions on my sleeve. I have, from day one. And there was no secret that now that I'm on the red team, if the red team loses its way in, I'm going home. And it was a reality check for me that my time here on the ranch, no matter what number I put on the scale, it's a good chance that I'm going home. And knowing that Rulon had only lost 4 pounds the week before, and I ain't 10 the week before that, I knew he was going to put up a big number, because as soon as they find out that I am on their team the night before, he's doing everything in his power to get rid of all the water he has, and he wants to make sure that I'm going home. He's wanted to make sure I'm going to go home from day one. I was his biggest threat, and he never, he never ever really accepted me. He wanted me gone from day one. Nice guy. It's nothing personal. That's just the Olympic competitor in him. He's just a competitor. And when you have your biggest competition sitting across from you and you have a chance to get him out, you're going to get him out.
Right. So I read online, and I don't want to say the source because I don't want to misquote it, but I read that there was actually a lot of disturbance amongst the contestants when you get home. I think Marsha wanted to talk to the executive producer. The girls were offering to send themselves home. Can you kind of take us behind the scenes and tell us what was going on?
My girls, when I say my girls, all the girls on the black team, those are my girls. And Mama's Marcy. And she had promised my dad that I would not go home. She would make sure that she would go home. The other girls, they all, when it was obvious that I was the one going home, there was a big stink in the house, because when you go to an elimination, the teams are separated. Everybody's isolated. You're not allowed to communicate. And, that losing team has to come up, to an agreement. That's the process you go through in the elimination room. And Marcy broke all the rules. Marcy busted into the elimination room, read the red team the riot act, because, it was a foregone conclusion that I was going home. And when she did that, Kaylee and Justin said, "Oh, I'll go, if my team will vote me out." And, of course, the team's not going to vote him out. And then that's when she demanded to speak to the executive producer, Todd Lubin. I have to speak to the executive producer. So he came in and, unfortunately, for legal purposes, and this isn't the first time something like this has happened, they just can't do that. This is a game, but it does have rules. And so, she was in tears. All the girls were willing to give up their spots. And, that touches you. That lets you know that, these girls love you. And, I'll do anything for them.
So the game just got in the way, unfortunately.
Yeah, well, and that's what anytime you separate an us versus them, that's what's going to happen.
Right.
I'll be honest. If it was the shoe was on the other foot, I'm getting rid of him. If Rulon, if Rulon's butt comes over to my team, I'm getting rid of him the first chance I get. So, I don't hold any animosity. I don't hold any hard feelings, because I lost weight before I got here. I was 646 pounds. I lost 150 on my own before the Biggest Loser. I definitely can lose another 200 after. So, that's the plan.
Well, Arthur, you're doing really well at home. I know your Where Are They Now was probably shot a couple months ago.
It was actually it was a couple weeks ago, actually.
Okay. So
fairly
what's
recent.
so you're doing really well at home. It doesn't seem, the elimination doesn't seem to have slowed you down at all. Can you tell me what your progress is like at home, where you are, and your
Uh,
goal?
I can tell you, I'm down to 340. I'm down 50 pounds from when I left the ranch in mid-January. I'm 90 pounds away from my goal, and that is going to be 400 pounds when I reach my goal that I will have lost in 2 years.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
amazing, Arthur. How do you
Yeah.
feel?
To be honest, look at that. Look at that. Look at that. I feel like $1,000,000.
I love it.
I really do. I feel like $1,000,000. The other thing is there's thousands of other Arthurs out there. Courtney. Courtney. I'm so proud of her. She's. Oh, I can't wait till you guys see what she looks like. Oh my goodness. Uh, there's thousands of Arthurs and Courtneys out there. Courtney was 435 pounds at once, and she lost 120 pounds, to get there on her own. And what I want to do is I want to reach out to those Arthurs, reach out to those Courtneys, those folks that, they don't think it can be done. I've bared my soul on national television. I've, I've left everything. I didn't hold anything back at all. And I did that because I want them to know that, hey, if Arthur can do it, I can do it. If you can take one step and make one choice at a time, hey, man, we can change America. We can change
Absolutely.
America.
What do you think about, because I personally know people who I think have made up their minds that they can't lose the weight. Like they've made that decision. The weight's not going to come off for any number of reasons or excuses or justifications that they've come up with. How do you reach those people and tell them that it can be done and convince them to change their mind again?
Well, the mind is a powerful thing. Weight loss, all the exercise and all the activity, I literally believe it's about 10% of the process. 90% is right here. 90% is right here. You have to have what I call your aha moment where it's enough. And it doesn't matter what I say, what I do, until somebody has that aha moment and they finally decide that, okay, now's enough, now's the time, then they can do it. And hopefully by looking at me, somebody can have that aha moment. And I've had thousands of people message me on Facebook and Twitter, how because they've seen what I've done, they have no more excuse. Somebody who's 300, 400 pounds, they don't have an excuse. Even 500 pounds, you don't have an excuse. When you got a man who was 5'8", 650 pounds, and he can get down 400 pounds in 2 years, there is no excuse, and that's what I want. My goal is now is I'm walking across America. I got a walk here in New York City, up at Central Park on Wednesday. I'm going down to D.C., going down to the mall on Thursday, and then we're finishing up in Boston. And I'm hoping that I can get all those Arthurs out there. Those folks
too.
that are that big, and let's get moving. Let's make one step and one choice at a time.
I love it. I love it. Arthur, just one last question before we go. Your relationship with Bob and Jillian. There's not a lot of people who bring Jillian Michaels to tears. And when we talked last week after your elimination, you had mentioned that Bob followed up with you after the episode and said that he was still crying over what happened. Can you tell us about your relationship with the trainers then and now?
My relationship then was great. You have to understand, Bob and Jill are busy folks. They have a lot of stuff going on. Bob checks in on me a couple of times a week. I ain't heard from Jill. I ain't gonna lie, I ain't heard from Jill. I've heard from her one time, but I know they're busy. They got other lives. I know Jillian's starting to start a family. Now, if I ever need them, I know they're there. But the Biggest Loser is bigger than just Bob and Jill. We have Dr. Heising and Dr. Hogan. We have all these people behind the scenes that are there to support us. And so once we go home, we start working with another trainer. And I have my trainer, Thomas Neal, who is putting me through all kind of stuff. So he's kind of the one I turn to now because I'm not in ranch mode. There's a difference between training for the ranch and then coming home to train. When you're on the ranch, you have to lose X amount of weight every week to stay there. Where at home, I can build a little more muscle to burn the fat. Where on the ranch, you can't necessarily do that. But if I ever need Bob or Jill, they're just a phone call or an email or a text away. So, I love them. I love everything they did for me. I mean, Jillian saved me when I ate all those chocolates and switched the teams over and upset the balance of our team. I mean, Jillian is the one who kind of, all right, it's going to be okay, Arthur. And she came over and she gave me a big hug, and it kind of made everybody realize, all right, if Jillian says it's okay, it's okay. We'll forgive. Yep,
Good.
my
Well,
girls forgave me.
well, Arthur, I couldn't be happier to see how happy you are. You're beaming, and you and your dad share a positivity and an optimism that is so rare. And I hope that, along with gathering up all those Courtneys and Arthurs, you can spread that attitude around a little bit too. So, good luck on these last 8 weeks before finale, and we will see you in May.
All righty. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Arthur. For dietsinreview.com, this is Brandy Kosky.